Well, it was rainy and windy all night at the Carter Gap shelter, and it was still drizzling a bit earlier this morning when it was still dark out. But mountain forecast told me that during the day, or at least until early afternoon, it was going to be basically fog or a cloud. I mean, as you can see, we're basically inside a cloud. Some of the other folks at Carter Gap were a little spooked, though, by the weather forecast, thinking it was going to be raining, windy, and that there was a wind advisory, which there is, or at least in Blairsville, Georgia, there is. So some of them were a little spooked about that, but I got a van to catch, a shuttle ride to catch, and I'm trying to get to Mass either tonight or tomorrow morning. So I have more important things to worry about than weather that is not even as bad as some of the weather I've done before. To be honest, it's not even windy right here where I'm walking, but I'm sure it'll be different up on Mount Albert. So it remains to be seen whether I'll summit that or do its bypass, but that'll be an audible. We are approaching a tunnel. Where does it take us? Final climb up Mount Albert is pretty steep. And here's the fire tower for Mount Albert. Probably not going to be much of a view on a day like today. Still pretty cool place. So the stairs to the fire tower are open, but I was told that the top of the tower itself is closed. So basically you go, if you work your way up the stairs and get there, it's none shall pass. And basically you put in all that energy for nothing. And there's not much of a view up here today anyway, but they do have a picture showing you what you would see if you looked out to the west and southwest, including Mount Hardy, which I believe is one of the 6,000 footers. Anyway, as you can see behind me, this little scratching on the fire tower says 100. This is 100 miles on the Appalachian Trail, counting from Springer Mountain. So that's 108.8 from Amicalola. And here's a more temporary sign of 100 miles. And you see they have that picture there showing you what's over in the view, which we don't see. And there's the fire tower. So when I went by the bypass access before Mount Albert, I wasn't sure if that's what it was. It was not very well marked. It was just the road was next to us on our left, kind of came close to the trail and then pulled away. And I didn't want to just go down that, because what if that was not the bypass and you end up just way off trail? And then, so as you know, I went to the summit and it really wasn't that bad. There just wasn't much of a view. And then now I've descended and I'm past the steep part of the descent. And I'm pretty sure a couple of Blue Blaze trails, I'm pretty sure the one on the left must have been the other end of the bypass. But again, I'm not very sure. It's not very well marked as such on this trail. But it's kind of a moot point. Went up and over Mount Albert without incident. And it was good to see some of the guys from the Carter Gap shelter again. And we'll probably see them again either between here and Rock Gap or at Rock Gap, and perhaps even in Franklin, North Carolina. The trail has a way of bringing a lot of people back together, as was the case when I was in Plum Orchard Gap and saw some of the folks from the above the Clouds Hostel. So you get a lot of that on trail. Well, we got some big trees that got damaged by the hurricane here. Not as frequent as around Coleman Gap, but these boys are big.